In early history, the only way to acquire food was to farm the land. Farming was not the most secure job though. Historically, famines have occurred because of agricultural problems such as droughts, crop failure, or pestilence. In some cases, entire continents were ravaged by famine because they did not have enough food. In fact, the Great Famine of 1315 was all caused by bad weather and crop failure. However, in recent history, scientists have been developing genetically modified organisms. Genetically modified organisms can be very helpful because you can modify the plant to do some amazing things. Genetically modified food can be made to repel pests, resist viruses, and help increase water efficiency. In other words, you get the same plant but with pesticides, herbicides, and vaccines built in, all with using less water. Not only can genetically modified organisms be used to make the crops stronger, but now you can grow foods that can only survive in specific climates virtually anywhere because of the plant's increased water efficiency, pesticides, and whatnot. For example, some foods like rice could only be grown in a rainforest because it requires fertile soil and lots of water. As a result of this new technology and fertilizers, rice could be grown in the desert and survive. Not only can they be used in enhanced growing, but scientists have even genetically modified apples to prevent browning. In the next few years, who knows what might come out of this? The possibilities are seemingly endless. A main contributor to the GM movement is the company Monsanto. The GM movement, GM standing for genetically modified, is a push to improve the production and turnout of crops and other forms of food. Monsanto controls more than 40% of America's seed supply and 29% of the worldwide seed supply. Monsanto is a sustainable agriculture company founded in 1901 by John F. Queeney, their first product being saccharine, commonly called saccharin. Saccharin is an artificial sweetener. In 1945, they began making pesticides, otherwise known as herbicides, including 2,4-D, one of the most common pesticides in the world. 2,4-D was the first of many pesticides they made, some like the cancer-causing PCB Aerocolor XXXX. Another questionable product of Monsanto's was Agent Orange, a defoliant agent used in the Vietnam War during Operation Ranch Hand. The aim of the product was to deprive Viet Cong of food and vegetation for cover. The result of the operation still lives on today in the land and in humans. Children and adults physically and mentally challenged from exposure to the deadly toxin. The first genetically modified plant was produced in 1982 using an antibiotic-resistant tobacco plant. The first field trials of genetically engineered plants occurred in France and the USA in 1986 when tobacco plants were engineered to be resistant to herbicides. While the first genetically modified plant was produced in 1982, the first modified crop approved for sale in the US was the Flavor Saver tomato in 1994. This had a longer shelf life as it took longer to soften after ripening. When the Flavor Saver was approved for sale, many food producers and corporations were influenced by the idea of a cheaper and more sustainable product. GMOs aren't all good though. The ratio of risks to benefits is skewed. While there are some benefits, like the lower price of GMOs compared to organic crops, but even that argument is beginning to diminish now that more farms are beginning to grow organic crops. Other issues have started to present themselves also, such as the lack of knowledge on the safety of GMOs. In fact, they tested GM soy on lab rats and they had discovered that the rats had developed stomach ulcers, tumors, and fertility issues. The problem translated to humans as well. Soy allergies skyrocketed by 50% in the United Kingdom soon after the GM soy was produced.